So good morning. And in the last session we discussed that how the gametes are formed and so here the fertilization, the next important event in the human reproduction is the fertilization. And we know that as it is a very general definition that the fertilization is a fusion of the haploid gamete. So just we will take the reference as a human fertilization. So here human fertilization means here the fusion of haploid sperm and haploid ovum. So here and we know that these two gametes, so that is male gamete, sperm, and female gamete is a ovum. These two are the haploid structures, and the fusion of these two gametes, that is the sperm and ovum, to form a diploid zygote. This process is known as the fertilization. So here the fertilization includes, and what is the fertilization events taking place in the human beings are, so there are so many, and generally the fertilization is internal, as we already discussed. Internal fertilization takes place in the human beings. That means the fertilization, that means fusion of sperm and ovum takes place inside the female body, and so it is an internal fertilization. And the human beings are viviparous. So viviparous means here the entire development. So starting from the zygote. So after the zygote it develops into embryo, then fetus. So then fully developed fetus. So up to birth, from fertilization or from the zygote to the birth, the complete development takes place inside the female body. Then these individuals gives rise to birth the young ones. So that means the formation of all organs and organ systems, all parts of the body, the entire development takes place inside the female body. So these human beings are said to be that the viviparous, they gives rise to birth directly the young ones. So further development is not taking place outside the body. Completely the embryo develops inside the body only. And one more thing here very important to that, as the human beings are placental animals, that means this is the connection between the fetus and the mother. So here through this placenta, the embryo or the fetus is attached to the mother's womb, and through this placenta the mother nourishes the fetus, developing fetus. So nourishment is also taking place inside the body from the mother to the fetus through the placenta. And this is one more very important aspect in the placental animals. So as it contains the placenta, it supplies all the nourishes, all the nutrients to the fetus, to the developing fetus or developing embryo. And as it contains the placenta, even from the fetus, the waste materials are enters into the mother's blood through this same placenta. And means here if you see the placenta, so placenta it contains the blood vessels, and through this blood vessel it supplies the blood. So that means that blood contains the nutrients and everything from mother to fetus. And other blood vessels are also present. Veins. So these are the arteries and these are the veins which carries the waste materials from the fetus to the mother. So this is like that. This placenta is a connection between the mother and fetus to supply the nutrients. And the fertilization in human beings, takes place in 12 to 24 hours. So the time duration for the fertilization, that means once the secondary oocyte is released in the body, in the females, then within 12 to 24 hours of the time, the fertilization takes place. If the sperm is available, so if there is no sperm, the no fertilization takes place. And here, to fertilize an ovum, the sperms are, so already we discussed copulation. So copulation means the deposition of the sperms along with the semen. The entire semen is deposited into the female genital tract. So for one ejaculation, the nearly 300 to 400 millions of sperms are deposited into the female genital tract. So and already in the spermiogenesis, we discussed that out of these 300 to 400 sperms, the 60% of the sperms must be motile or must be having proper shape and size. 60% of the sperms must be they must have shape and size, the normal shape and normal size, and 40% of the sperms must be motile. They must be having the capacity of the motile in the female genital tract. So then only out of these only one sperm can fertilize an ovum, and the ovum is released. Only one ovum is released at the middle of the menstrual cycle. So at the middle of the menstrual cycle. From ovary. And here we have to remember that here at each menstrual cycle, at the middle of each menstrual cycle, only one ovum is released. And we have to remember that if there are two ovaries are present in the human beings, but at each menstrual cycle only one ovary releases ovum. A single ovary releases. See, the first menstrual cycle it releases one ovum. So and then in the next adjacent menstrual cycle another ovary releases ovum. So like that here at the middle of each menstrual cycle only one ovum alternatively. So this month the first ovary, the left ovary releases an ovum suppose, and the next month the next ovary, that is right ovary, releases an ovum. So per one menstrual cycle or per one ovulation only single ovum is released, and that single ovum is fertilized with single sperm. So as the human being's fertilization is monospermy. Due to the copulation, even though there are millions of sperms enters into the female body, so out of that the number of sperms are demobilized. So that means they lose their capacity to motile, and the remaining sperms they can get the proper shape and size, and even out of that 40% they may get motility. But out of these all sperms also there is only one sperm fertilizes ovum. So that is called monospermy. Only one sperm get fertilizes an ovum. So this is a very important, these 2 points. So that means at each menstrual cycle only single ovum is released, but generally it's a misconception that is if there are 2 ovaries, so at every menstrual cycle 2 ova are released. So it is completely wrong, because these 2 ovaries are releases an ovum alternatively. So first one ovary releases one ovum, and the next another ovary releases an ovum in the successive or in the alternative manner. And here the monospermy means only single sperm fertilizes an ovum. And here the sperms undergo some changes when it reaches the female genital tract. See, that process is known as, the sperm must undergo some changes to fertilize an egg, and that changes are termed as the capacitation. Capacitation means sperm acquires the characters which are helps in the fertilizing an ovum. So then only, if the sperm undergoes the capacitation, only the sperm can fertilize an ovum. So that process is known as capacitation. That means the changes occur in sperm. So that changes takes place in the female genital tract. So when the sperms reaches the female genital tract, so you just remind that the structure of the female reproductive system. So here and if you see that here the vagina is present here, so the sperms are deposited into the vagina, and this is the uterus. So here the sperms enters into the uterus through vagina. So first the sperms are deposited into the vagina, and from the vagina they enters into the uterus, and from the uterus they travels like this and they reach fallopian tubes. So that means at the isthmus. During this passage or during this journey of the sperms, they undergo these changes, and this is known as the female genital tract. So while traveling from the vagina to the fallopian tubes, the sperms undergoes the so many changes, and these are known as the capacitation. Means simply you can say that now the sperm has capacity to fertilize an ovum. And here, now if we will take the ovum, say for example this ovary releases an ovum, so that is secondary oocyte. And now this secondary oocyte is collected by this fimbriae, and it also travels through the fallopian tube and it reaches to the ampulla, and this is the junction of the ampulla and isthmus. So here at this junction, now here the ovum is present, that is secondary oocyte is present, and this sperm also reaches to this junction, and here the fertilization takes place. And for this capacitation, the sperms require 6 to 10 hours of time. For this capacitation, it requires 6 to 10 hours of time. And here, once the ovum is released or secondary oocyte is released, so it goes to the ampulla region or at the junction within 12 to 24 hours of time. So once these two are meet together at this junction, then fertilization takes place. So here the one more word, that is capacitation, must be done by the sperms which can get the capability of fertilizing a ovum. And then the events which takes place in the fertilization, means there are so many events are there in the fertilization. The first one is acrosomal reaction. Acrosomal reaction. So just imagine now the sperm and ovum, that is secondary oocyte, are meet together at the ampulla isthmic junction of the fallopian tubule. So here, if you will just remind the structure of the sperm. So just a rough diagram I will draw here. And of course the plasma membrane and everything is present here. So the acrosomal reaction means, and we know that this acrosome, at the tip of the head of the sperm, there is a cap-like structure which is known as acrosome. And this acrosome contains so many enzymes. So here it contains enzymes. So those enzymes are known as, one is acrosin, hyaluronidase, or Jonah fertilizing. So these are the enzymes which are present in the acrosome. And here, if you will see the ovum also here, the acrosomal reaction means, first, if you will take this, it is a secondary oocyte, and which is, so already we discussed the structure of ovum. So this is the egg membrane, that is the first membrane, the innermost layer of the ovum, and above this there is another layer which is known as the zona pellucida. So zona pellucida, and above that the innermost layer, that is outermost layer known as corona radiata. So this is the corona radiata. So first, this acrosome contacts with these layers, the acrosome. So here, now the sperm contacts with this. Actually, the entry of the sperm takes place at the animal pole. So animal pole means a direction or the side where the nucleus is present. So this is the animal pole, and here the entry of the sperms takes place. So here first acrosome is contacts with these egg membranes or these layers of the secondary oocyte, and once it contacts with this, then it destroys. So that means the acrosomal membrane destroys and it releases its enzymes. Now that enzymes are dissolving. First corona radiata. So corona radiata dissolves. Then the zona pellucida is also destroys or ruptures or dissolves. So here, but here the remaining zona pellucida, corona radiata, these layers are present, but these layers are dissolved only at the place of the entry of the sperm. So here only they dissolves. Here only. And still plasma membrane is present. Then now the sperm reaches up to here. But the remaining structure is as usual. So there is no, all the zona pellucida and all the corona radiata doesn't dissolves. So here only these layers dissolves at the area of the contact of the sperm with this ovum. And now this one comes and contacts with this. So this is the next step. So that is, and here we have to acrosyn dissolves the corona radiata as well as zona pellucida, but hyaluronidase, it dissolves hyaluronic acid. It acts on hyaluronic acid, and this hyaluronic acid is known as ground substance present in the follicular cells. That means present in these cells as a ground substance, and that is dissolved by this enzyme hyaluronidase. And zona fertilizing, this zona fertilizing enzyme, so once the sperm contacts to the egg membrane, so here this plasma membrane, and this zona fertilizing enzyme, it removes the receptors of the zona pellucida, which prevents the entry of another sperms. So for that very detailed I will explain that. See, there are so many sperms around the ovum, but only one sperm is fertilizes an egg. This is the fact. And here, see, once these layers are dissolved, there is a chance of entry of more than one sperm. So here in this space, and this can also go and enters into that. But once the sperm enters, up to the middle piece of the sperm, they enters inside, but tail remains outside. Tail remain outside. So once the one sperm entered into this, then the zona fertilizing enzyme activates and it removes the receptors. So now here at this place, the zona fertilizing enzyme is present. So for example, this sperm reaches here. This enzyme removes the receptors of this sperm and it makes another layer here. So as a result of this zona fertilizing, the prevention of the polyspermy, it prevents polyspermy and promotes monospermy. That means once the barrel or here it blocks the entry of the sperms. So this takes place only after one sperm entered into the layers. And now the next step, in the second step, what happens exactly? So in the second stage or in the second event, the sperm entry takes place. So now this head plasma membrane and egg plasma membrane. So that is sperm plasma membrane and egg plasma membrane are come contact. So here at this contact, so here you just imagine here the nucleus is present and here a fertilizing cone is formed. A fertilizing cone. So it is a fertilization cone. That means the plasma membrane of the egg protrudes and it forms a fertilization cone. And of course this is also having the nucleus. Okay. And here after formation of this fertilization cone, the plasma membranes of both egg or both worm and sperm get dissolves. See now. And still there are the separate nucleus. So these plasma membranes of both ovum and sperm dissolves. And once they dissolve, then they come contact with the each other. That is egg. This is the egg, and this is the sperm. And after that, another changes are taking place. That is cortical reactions. So cortical reactions means here the calcium ions from the sperm cytoplasm, the calcium ions are released and it makes a waves in the cytoplasm of the ovum. Those reactions are called cortical reactions. So these calcium ions initiates the cytoplasmic waves. In the ooplasm. So here there is the third event, cortical reactions. And the fourth reaction is Jonah reactions. So already we discussed that once sperm entered into this egg, then this Jonah fertilizes. That means the changes or the reactions take place in the Jonah pellucida. So that means Jonah fertilizing enzyme prevents the entry of or prevents polyspermy. Means entry of more than one sperms. It prevents entry of more than one sperm and it promotes monospermy. So it promotes monospermy. Only single sperm enters and contact with the ovum. And that is the fourth reaction, Jonah reactions. And fifth reactions is changes in secondary oocyte. We have to remember one thing. Oogenesis in the human beings is a discontinuous process, as we already discussed. Discontinuous process means it starts before birth when the fetus is present, when the female fetus is present in the mother's womb, and then it stops at the meiosis 1. That means prophase 1 of the meiosis 1, and later it starts, the further development starts at the puberty stage. Even at the puberty stage also it takes place up to the secondary oocyte stage. but it is not a female gamete. Female gamete is a ovum, but it is the secondary oocyte. So when this secondary oocyte changes into an ovum, means now this secondary oocyte undergoes meiosis II. Meiosis II. So that is takes place only. This meiosis II initiated by the entry of the sperms. When the sperms enters and contact with this only, then secondary oocyte undergo meiosis II division, then it is developed into an ovum. So up to the secondary oocyte, again it starts at the puberty and then stops. Then when the sperm enters into the female body, again it is initiated and it undergo meiosis II and develops into an ovum. And so that changes takes place in secondary oocyte. So the meiosis II takes place and it develops into an ovum. And that is the secondary oocyte how converts into ovum. And finally, the final step of the fertilization is amphimixis. Amphimixis. So amphimixis means the fusion of the haploid sperm and haploid ovum, this ovum. The fusion of the sperm or pronucleus of the sperm, and pronucleus of the ovum. So now syngamy takes place after ovum is released. So that is the nucleus of the ovum and the nucleus of the sperm. These two come together and fuse with each other. Then as a result of the diploid zygote, and of course this pronucleus is a haploid and this pronucleus is also a haploid nuclei. And as a result of the fusion of these pronuclei, so now these two nuclei are fused with each other, then the zygote, diploid zygote is formed. This is known as amphimixis. Why it is known as amphimixis means, so here when morphologically, if you observe that structure of ovum and sperm, they are completely different with each other. So it is known as amphimixis, means two different types of gametes. Two different types of gametes are fused with each other. So it is known as amphimixis. So here the ovum is structurally, it is completely different, that means morphologically, and sperm is also morphologically completely different from the ovum. So this process is known as amphimixis. And these are the events takes place in the fertilization. So one is acrosomal reactions. First acrosome contact with the egg membranes, and due to the presence of these enzymes, it reacts with the membranes of the ovum. And then the second one is sperm entry. So how the sperm enters through these layers. And then the third one is cortical reactions. So inside the ooplasm, what are the changes takes place. Then Jonah reactions, how it prevents the polyspermy. And then changes in oocyte, secondary oocyte. So secondary oocyte converted into an ovum by undergoing meiosis II. Then amphimixis. fusion of pronuclei of both the gametes to form a zygote. And what is the significance of this fertilization? Means why the fertilization should be take place. So here the significance, if you will see the significance of the fertilization. So here one is it restores diploid chromosomes. Diploid chromosomes. So that means in human beings 46 chromosomes in human beings. So this is the, that means it from generation to generation it restores the 46 number of chromosomes in the human beings. So for that the fertilization must be takes place, as the gametes are haploid. So that means each gamete contains only 23 chromosomes. Then if the fertilization takes place between the two gametes, then the number of chromosomes comes to 46, and which is a natural number of the chromosomes in human beings. And one more thing is it maintains the species race from generation to generation. So if there is no fertilization, especially the sexual reproducing animals, if there is no fertilization, there is no another generation. So that's why it maintains the species race from generation to generation. So for that two reasons, the fertilization must be takes place in the sexually reproducing animals. And here one more important thing it is the sex determination of the baby. So here fusion of gametes takes place, and here how the sex determination of the baby, it is completely depends on the chromosomes in males. So here the human males are called heterogametic. Heterogametic as it contains two different sex chromosomes. So one is X and another one is Y. That means it produces the gametes in two types. So it is known as heterogametic. Human males are heterogametic, and in females, there are also two sex chromosomes are present, but these two sex chromosomes are same. Both are X and X. So these type of chromosomes which produces same type of gametes known as homogametic. So now we will take this males. So males produces the sperms. So for example, if one male produces 100 sperms, out of these 100 sperms, the 50 sperms contains X chromosome. 50% of the sperms contains X chromosome, and remaining 50% of the sperms contains Y chromosomes. So these sperm contain X chromosome and these sperm contain Y chromosome. And now, so the female, as it contains both are the same chromosomes, so here it produces the gametes with the same type of chromosomes. So here it produces only one ovum that contains X. So this is the egg. And now we will see how the sex determined of the baby. So for example, if this egg is fertilized with this eggs, this sperm. So this egg contains X chromosome and this sperm contains X chromosome. So the daughter baby or the baby is female baby. So it is a female baby. Suppose if this egg fertilizes with this sperm. So there are a number of sperms around the egg. Out of that, only one sperm enters into the egg and fertilizes the egg. That sperm, if it contains X, that is the female baby, and if it contains Y chromosome, then it is male baby. So then it is male baby. So like this, the sex of the baby is determined only on the basis of the type of the sperm which it contains, either X or Y chromosome. So on that basis, the sex of the baby is determined. So in the next chapter, like in a genetics chapter, we will discuss in detail about this sex determination. Okay. So by this, the fertilization events takes place and now the zygote is formed. So in the next session, what are the changes takes place in the zygote and how it develops into an embryo and fetus, we will discuss later.